Good evening and welcome to Dunning Stadium here in New Canaan for the senior night matchup between the Brien McMahon Senators and the New Canaan Rams. We'd like to welcome you inside the broadcast booth. I'm Ryan Bell, joined by John Frieders. You know, John, New Canaan, these last two games have been fairly easy against Norwalk and Bridgeport, but now it's going to be a bit of a tougher matchup.
Yeah, you talk about it. New Canaan comes in off of two dominant wins, scoring just over 90 points and letting up just under 2 touchdowns. Obviously, haven't faced much competition these past 2 games. Those games came off a rough win against Wilton, so they did face competition before that, and then they do face a little bit of competition tonight. But Brien McMahon, they definitely have been struggling recently, dropping their past 2 games against Ludlow and Wilton. And they come into this game with their 4 wins. Their wins are against teams that have a combined record of 1-30.
That is ridiculous.
That stat. So not looking too good for Brien McMahon, but they do have some talent on that roster that can definitely do a lot and is very elusive and quick. You want to talk about that, Bell?
Absolutely. You know, I think the key for Brien McMahon, is going to be the run game tonight, and it's got to be led by Jaheim Daniels, right? He's one of the best running backs, and not even the entire state, but if you look at the East Coast as a whole, you know, some of his stats are here: 120 carries, 868 yards, 17 touchdowns. I think the craziest thing, he averages 108 rushing yards per game. If you're New Canaan, you got to be able to stop the run tonight. And I think also for Brien McMahon, it's got to be Eamon Boyle, the quarterback, right? He's a senior. He'd only started 4 games before the season dealing with injuries. Tonight, he's got to have a good one.
Yeah, you talk about it. I mean, Brien McMahon comes in with some talent on that team. We talked with Lou Marinelli, and he talked about how one of the keys to this game is actually stopping that run game, maybe packing the box a little bit, trying to figure out how to take control early, seize that control, and then maintain it throughout the entire game.
Absolutely. So, John, we're going to look at some key players for New Canaan. Who are you watching tonight for the Rams?
Obviously, everyone always mentions him. He's a hometown name in Alex Benevento. He is an absolute stud, not just on the baseball diamond where he's going to play baseball at Brown next year, but also on the football field. He had 2 pick-sixes last year. Obviously, was out all last year in terms of because he broke his arm, but has made a crazy impact this year and has been dominant in what has been just an all-around offensive, defensive performance from himself, as well as New Canaan gets their guy back behind center back tonight in Luke Robinson. Luke Robinson could have played last week, but sat out, obviously, because it wasn't a big game. But he's ready to go tonight. From what we've seen, what we've heard, he is itching to get back on the football field and is ready to lead this team once again.
Yeah, John, I mean, going back to that, Robinson, he hasn't started and finished an entire game since the Wilton one. What are you kind of expecting from him tonight, maybe trying to ease him back into the game?
Yeah, well, I think that this game is, although it is a big game in terms of just seeding and FCX seeding, as well as state seeding, which we'll talk about when we bring it down to PJ in a little bit. But you talk about it, it's also a game to get him back under his feet. Obviously, being out for 2 weeks and not seeing any game time can definitely affect a quarterback. You talk about it, he's getting in the reps at practice, but hasn't seen gain reps, hasn't seen the defenses, hasn't seen the Brien McMahon defense in person yet, obviously. Hasn't seen a live defense that adjusts on the fly, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do tonight.
Yeah, John, I think New Canaan, they're going to be dealing with one more injury on the defensive line. What can you tell us about that tonight?
Yeah, Walter Schmitz, who was obviously going to be, is a last-minute scratch, obviously. Not a big injury like Charlie O'Connor, who's been out for the entire year, but Walter Schmitz, who's definitely going to be out. But New Canaan has some replacements, stronger replacements, in Bradley Boutine and as well as Mike Harris.
Absolutely. So we got both fans, you know, starting to get into their seats a little bit. Brien McMahon about to, you know, come out into the field. John, I think when we're talking about Brien McMahon tonight, what do they need to do in order to be successful and end with a victory?
Well, they are looking to come out and really take control of this game early. I think that's going to be a key factor, is whether or not New Canaan just runs away with the game early on, or Brien McMahon puts up a fight and really uses their running back team Gibbs to their advantage and really gets things going on the running front, but also just on the passing front too. It'll be interesting to see if they take shots early on, trying to get big gains of yardage to try and take control of this game.
Yeah, John, you mentioned some of those receivers. I think the one that I'm looking at most tonight has got to be Jermel Bynum, right? He's one of the top receivers in all of the FCAC and all of the state, really, and he's only a junior, which makes him so special. As you can see, Brien McMahon coming out onto the field right now. But back to Jermel Bynum, right? 11 catches, 174 yards, and 2 touchdowns, right? This is a guy, for New Canaan, you've been practicing all week to try and contain him, right? Put your best corners on him. And I think tonight it's going to be a real test for the New Canaan secondary to try and stop him.
Yeah, you also got another talented wide receiver in Braden Darling, who also has stats of his own in 13 receptions, 165 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So you talk about him. He has also had a monster season. And obviously, a good run game complements a good passing game, and a good passing game complements a strong running game. So those go back and forth, and having both really puts the team at an advantage because you can either run the ball or pass the ball on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, John. So earlier this week, we had NCTV's own Eva Campbell go out to down to Norwalk to interview Coach Jeff Quiroga for Brien McMahon. We'll play that interview right now.
Once again, I just think it's experience. I think it's senior leadership. These guys put in a great offseason. They've been together since their sophomore year and kind of made a pact to stick together and kind of see this out as seniors. You know, we challenged them when they were younger to make a push and do this and see if we can make a playoff run. And you know, while we're kind of coming up short with that, you know, it's been nice to see the effort put out there by them.
Running onto the field, you can hear the home crowd. You know, they're going crazy right now. It's going to be a great senior night tonight. You know, John, I think something important, and really all over the country, high school football, is the fans. You know, this fan base, they're going to be rocking tonight. It's going to be a great match.
Yeah, you also talk about the fan base. This is their first Friday night game of the entire season. You talk about it. What do you think that is playing a factor? Obviously, you talk about more students out in the crowd. It's just a Friday night. It's Friday Night Lights. It brings the atmosphere of high school football and brings that extra excitement.
Absolutely, John. So we actually have our sideline reporter, PJ Neville, down the field. He's going to tell us a bit about these playoff implications for both of these teams. Down to you, PJ.
Thanks, fellows. And currently we've got a pretty close race for Class L playoffs. McMahon currently the 13th seed in that division. Their 4-4 record, they still have a chance to make it, though. If they win out and have a few other things go their way with other teams and getting losses, they may get in. Coach Marinelli described it as an outside chance for them. Meanwhile, New Canaan, if they win tonight, they get guaranteed playoff position. And if they win next week in the Turkey Bowl, they are guaranteed home field advantage for at least the first game of playoffs. That's all for me. Back up to you guys.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, PJ. And, you know, John, this is a big playoff game. I mean, really for Brien McMahon, but if you're also New Canaan, you want to win this game to show that you can be legit. You know, you've played some easier opponents these last couple weeks, but you win now, obviously, the Turkey Bowl on Thanksgiving. It's going to be huge for New Canaan to finish out strong.
Yeah, obviously, there's already enough pressure in the Turkey Bowl as itself, as it is a big game between New Canaan and Darien, who are two rival towns. Adding that extra playoff implication is not what you want if you're New Canaan. You have an opportunity to kind of capture that playoff berth tonight. And if you can do that, that really puts you in a good position. It takes off another stress factor to the game next Thursday.
Yeah, you know, I think I'm going to change my focus a little bit back to New Canaan here and look at some of their receivers, right? I think a key player for the Rams tonight, it's going to be sophomore Andrew Esposito, who he has 8 catches, 129 yards, and 4 touchdowns. You know, this is a New Canaan team that over these last couple years, they like to kind of stick to the run game, right? But when they do pass the ball, they're going to throw to their best receivers. And I think when you look at Andrew Esposito, he's got to be one of them. You know, John, any other receivers that catch your eye tonight?
Yeah, you talk about it. There's also the senior in Will Langford, who has 10 for 84 and 2 touchdowns, as well as Cooper Smith, who is dynamic both in the run game and in the passing game. We saw him break away for a couple big runs in the past couple weeks, so it'll be interesting to see what role he plays tonight.
We will take you to the national anthem right now. We will come back right after this.
For
rendition of the national anthem right there. So, John, kickoff is about to begin, but we're going to take a few more looks at this New Canaan team. I'm going to talk about the defense right now. Who are you looking at for the Rams defensively tonight?
Yeah, obviously they have talented players all around that defense. They have a strong defensive line, but they also have really good secondary in Michael Smith, Alex Benevento, and Luke Bopp. They're really good at making tackles, which is a big part of high school football. Obviously, you talk about it. A broken tackle can lead to big yards on the ground in the passing yards. So that is a key.
Yeah, I think also for the New Canaan defensive line, you know, Brad Boutine, this is his first game starting on defense tonight. You know, there's been some injuries, as we talked about earlier, so that'll be interesting to see if New Canaan is going to be able to stop that run from Jaheim Daniels, because that's a guy, if he finds a hole, he's going to take that. He'll be gone. It'll be 6 points for Brien McMahon pretty early on in this game. So New Canaan is taking the field. McMahon is already out there. It's going to be the kicker, Tucker Stevens, is going to boot this one deep for New Canaan. So, John, as we're about to begin, any last thoughts before this game kicks off?
Yeah, well, you talk about the good running of the backs on the Brien McMahon team, but also what about that offensive line? You talk about it, good running back needs a strong offensive line to open up those gaps and holes. Obviously doing something right, as they average about 180 rushing yards per game, as well as 123 receiving yards. And if they can really put the pieces together tonight, they can be successful.
Yeah, John, as you just mentioned, 180 rushing yards per game, but they're passing for about 119 yards per game. So we'll see if New Canaan will be able to neutralize both of those. Tucker Stevens puts his foot to the ball, and we are underway at Dunning Stadium for the senior night matchup. McMahon's going to get that return. Caught that about the 15-yard line, but that's great special teams coverage by New Canaan, as it's going to be the McMahon offense led by quarterback Eamon Boyle, as we just mentioned, you know, Jaheim Daniels, Jermel Bynum. So we're underway.
Yeah, you saw New Canaan really there get to the ball and swarm the receiver. That's what you want if you're New Canaan. You want to be aggressive early on. You want to really put your foot into the ground here and cause an imprint on this game early on. You really want to
119 yards per game. So we'll see if New Canaan will be able to neutralize both of those. We notice a lot of these
Tucker Stevens puts his foot to the ball, and we are underway at Dunning Stadium for the senior night matchup.
Or run the ball.
McMahon's going to get that return.
First snap is a low snap to Eamon Boyle. He just had to take that. Still swarmed by the New Canaan defense. It's a bad snap early for Brien McMahon. You don't want that to be a problem for your team.
Yeah, you talk about it. Careless mistakes are going to cost you against good defenses. Obviously, New Canaan has a really strong defense, and big mistakes are going to pile up. You need to play smooth football here if you want to even have a shot at beating this New Canaan team.
So it's going to bring up a 2nd and 12 for Eamon Boyle and this offense. You can see Jaheim Daniel. We're going to see him on the field almost every play here. So it brings up a 2nd and 12 from the 16. Eamon Boyle drops back and throw that one. That was intended for Adrian Vega, just a bit too far, but it was great coverage by that Rams defense, John.
Yeah, you talk about it. That ball was a little bit overthrown, and that's what happened. The ball got overhead, and, you know, New Canaan was trying to look for the ball there, got a little bit lost, turned their shoulders, and just ran back, and luckily not able to hurt them. But Brien McMahon taking an early shot in the beginning of the game, and we talked about early shots. How many are Brien McMahon going to take?
Yeah, so it's going to be a 3rd down for the Senators offense. You know, 3rd down, this is kind of the money down right here, right? You got to get this, but if you're New Canaan, a little bend, don't break. So Boyle's going to roll to his right, just throws that one. It's going to be completed, but the New Canaan defense, again, we've seen this great swarm to the ball. That was going to be caught by Braden Darling.
Yeah, Boyle got out of the pocket there. Delivered a dime right on the chest of his receiver, but not able to get all 12 yards there. You talk about Brien McMahon. You don't want to find yourself in 3rd and long. That's where you don't want to be. You want to be in 3rd and short instead of 3rd and long, and found themselves in 3rd and 12. Able to pick up 11 yards there, though, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, so it's a 4th and 1 on their own 27. You know, if this ball's a little closer to midfield, you'd probably go for it with maybe a little tush push, as we've seen recently in all of football. But from here, it's just going to be a punt for Brien McMahon, as it's going to be Alex Benevento deep. He's going to let that one bounce. Takes a friendly New Canaan bounce. That ball is going to be out just around the 50-yard line. as the Rams offense now takes the field. John, what are you going to be expecting here?
Well, they got a really good opportunity here. Ball at around the 50, so really good field positioning to put up some points. If you're New Canaan, you're a New Canaan fan, you want to see them establish the run game early on here with obviously Cooper Smith. You also want to look to see Luke Robinson get comfortable back there early on in the game and continue that throughout the entire game.
So here's the situation. It's going to be Luke Robinson's actually on the sideline with the headset on, so it's going to be the other junior quarterback, Alex Russi, is going to take this. Now, this is a bit surprising for us. I mean, we talked to Coach Marinelli earlier, and he said Luke Robinson was all good to go and start. So I think some of the crowd's just taking this in. It is going to be Alex Russi at quarterback. That's going to change some things up for the Rams, John.
You talk about it, Russi able to use the legs really nicely, just like Luke Robinson. But interesting to see what they're doing here.
Russi, first play, it's just going to be a handoff, but Brien McMahon with a great defensive line, that front seven play of the Brien McMahon defense. So that's interesting, really, with Alex Russi. That kind of changes up your offense. He's a mobile guy. He can still throw the football. Obviously, he's played in these last 2 games, but those were against Bridgeport and Norwalk. So now you're, facing a tougher defense. It's going to be interesting to see what he'll be able to do. So it's a 2nd and 10. New Canaan's own 48-yard line. See if Russi will throw for the first time tonight. It's going to be another handoff to Dylan Pryor. And Dylan Pryor on the 2nd snap on offense. New Canaan takes a 7-0 lead, assuming this extra point is good. But, John, what are we talking about? It's the run game. Dylan Pryor strikes first for the Rams.
Yeah, you talk about it. Dylan Pryor returning from injury tonight. And what a way to start off again with a long rush there. Obviously, the front 7 of New Canaan doing a really good job. That line really opening up that gap in the middle of the field. And I don't think Pryor was touched once he received the ball. Ran right up through the middle and found daylight and able to put the ball into the end zone. And that's going to put New Canaan up 6-0. What a strike by New Canaan's offense early.
Yeah, I was just saying we'll see if Russi's going to throw the ball for the first time. But, hey, if that just keeps happening with Dylan Pryor, they can just be doing that all night as Tucker Stevens nails the extra point to give the Rams a 7-0 lead. We'll take a look at the replay right here. I mean, Dylan Pryor just gets this ball just at around midfield, and he just takes off, John, as you mentioned. Might not even been touched after he hit the hole. Great start for New Canaan.
Yeah, if you're New Canaan, that's exactly how you want to start it off. If you're Pryor, what a confidence boost. You get that first ball into your hands, able to do something very big, put your team up 6-0. Obviously, what a play there by the senior on senior night.
So Tucker Stevens is going to kick this one deep again. Brien McMahon's got Adrian Vega and Jaheim Daniel. Obviously, two of their star players. So you got to get a spark on special teams if you're Brien McMahon. I think special teams, it's a very underrated aspect of football. It's all about offense and defense, but you got to be good on special teams, whether that's kicking or punting. It sets the tone, really, for both teams.
Yeah, Brien McMahon needs a spark here. Obviously, already down 7-0. Don't want to find yourself in that early 2-touchdown, 3-touchdown deficit. So need something here. They can get the ball up past the 20-yard line. That would be helpful. Get something going.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it on that last kickoff. It was a great ball deep by Tucker Stevens, and then there's the special teams were able to close out as Trey Walker actually got the tackle on that last kick return, just to really put the Brien McMahon offense close to their own end zone. So it is going to be Tucker Stevens. The ball on the tee. Student section's getting a little bit rowdy over there. I wonder what's going on. But Stevens is a little bit shorter. That ball is caught just inside the 20-yard line. That's going to be a decent return. I think that was Jaden Traina for Brien McMahon there. Gets him to almost about the 40-yard line. A little bit more of a pooch kick from Tucker Stevens.
Yeah, Traina broke a bunch of tackles there. Able to get the ball up to right around the 39-yard line. But that's what you talk about. You need half-decent field position, because once you get loaded by this New Canaan Rams defense, you find things hard and pressure starts to close in on you, and you find yourself going backwards often.
Yes, the ball is going to be on Brien McMahon's own 39-yard line, so we're going to see if they're going to get Jaheim Daniel started a bit. It's going to be Boyle in the shotgun. It is going to be a handoff. But again, New Canaan so far looking good in that front 7, even depleted with some injuries.
Yeah, Brien McMahon trying to attack the middle right now. Doesn't look like it's working. New Canaan's defensive line holding up really strong.
Yeah, so we'll see, you know, if New Canaan's going to be able to keep stopping the run, then Eamon Boyle is going to have to start throwing the football a lot. But, you know, New Canaan, they have a great secondary. Obviously, Alex Benevento, he tied the state record at not 1 but 2 pick sixes last week against Bridgeport. So we'll see if he can get another one on the stat sheet tonight. Boyle dropping back again. The shotgun look, risky pass. That one was almost picked off by the linebacker, Owen Lyden. You know, Eamon Boyle just maybe forced that one a little bit too much there, John.
Yeah, Owen Lyden got a hand on that one. I'm sure the Bowdoin commit wishing he would have gotten both hands on that one, but only got one hand on it.
Yeah, I mean, Owen Lyden, he's one of these star players for New Canaan. He's 41 tackles on the season, 4 sacks. Almost got a second interception right there. So it's going to bring up a 3rd and 8 for this Brien McMahon offense. We'll see what Eamon Boyle and his boys can do. Try and move the sticks here. Boyle again in the shotgun look. New Canaan sending a bit of a blitz. He's got to roll to his left again. Ball was completed. No, it's actually incomplete. That would have been short of the sticks regardless, though. It's great coverage by that New Canaan defense.
Yeah, and you just see New Canaan bringing the pressure on Boyle every single play. It looks like Boyle's constantly being chased by New Canaan defenders, that time by Connor Mazza.
So Alex Benevento is going to go deep to try and return this punt here. You know, if they can just keep forcing 3 and outs from Brien McMahon, then, I mean, we can expect New Canaan to maybe go in cruise control a little bit in the second half, but that's a long way away. Obviously, you still want to get points. It was only their 2nd play of the game where New Canaan scored. Almost got blocked there. Good rush. Benevento going to catch that just about the 31-yard line. Benevento's going to get a good return. The ref saying he stepped out around the 50-yard line again, so New Canaan getting great starting field position on back-to-back punts from Brien McMahon.
Yeah, New Canaan going to start at the 50. Yet again, obviously what happened last time, Pryor right up the middle. If you missed it, Pryor right up the middle for about a 50-yard touchdown rush. Almost walked in the end zone untouched.
Yeah, so we'll see for New Canaan. So Luke Robinson's still with his headset on going to the sideline. I mean, this is going to be interesting for the rest of the game. I mean, we're not sure. We met with Coach Marinelli earlier. He said he was all good to go. But they're putting this trust in the other junior quarterback, Alex Russi. Obviously had to start a few games last year when Ty Groff was dealing with injury. He started last game. So this is a guy that they trust. They know that he can put the ball in places he needs to. But it's just surprising that Luke Robinson's not out on the field. It's going to be Russi in the shotgun. Dylan Pryor to his left. That one's just going to get sweeped over to Alex Benevento. Tries to find the hole. He's going to keep fighting, actually. Almost got down around the 50, but he made his way to gain almost an extra 4 or 5 yards there, John.
Yeah, that was about a 7-yard rush by the senior Benevento, able to fight for those extra yards. Looked like he was going to be tackled right around the line of scrimmage, but able to fight through, break a couple tackles. Obviously, he is a muscular, strong man, and he can break tackles quite easily, and showed it there.
So it's going to bring up a 2nd and 2 for New Canaan. So you got to imagine this ball is going to go. It's actually intended out to Andrew Esposito. There's the sophomore. We talked about him in the pregame. He's going to pick up a New Canaan first down. You know, Esposito, again, he's one of these sophomores. You know, normally you don't really see those underclassmen. It's normally the juniors and the seniors. But Esposito, he's shown that he's one of the best players on this football team.
And you talk about it, that wide receiver core is tight between Langford as well as Esposito. And just seeing them operate so far this year has been really, really nice to see, as they're on the same page most of the time with Russi.
There's Alex Russi taking that quarterback power right there. Going to get maybe a yard or 2. The ref's going to be generous. So expect a lot of that from Alex Russi tonight, a lot of running, right? He has only 79 passing yards this season, but he's only thrown the ball 11 times, right? This was just 12 with that throw to Esposito. But here's the kicker, John. 31 carries, 247 yards, and 5 rushing touchdowns for Alex Russi. So he's a guy, he's one of those dual threat quarterbacks. He can throw, but he knows how to run the football. Russi hands that one off to Dylan Pryor, tries to cut it outside. He is going to get a good gain. Dylan Pryor, you know, New Canaan just keep moving the sticks on this Brien McMahon defense.
Yeah, they're keeping their push forward. Obviously, Pryor, they're able to break tackle. The stats are looking very good for Pryor so far, and they're playing really well. The Rams are operating like a well-oiled machine so far.
New Canaan just on the outskirts of the red zone, so we're going to see maybe if they want to test a deep shot. I mean, with the lethal receiving core, you know, Esposito, see Benevento lined up on the left side as well. So we'll see where Alex Russi is going to want to target this ball when they do begin to throw. So it's going to be Russi in the gun. A little play action is a quick throw over to Alex Benevento. A little play action, Dylan Pryor, but he finds Benevento. So he's starting to work it around all of his receivers, Alex Russi.
Yeah, and that was a good tackle by the Brien McMahon defender there. I believe that was number 26, Joshua Floyd. And what a tackle there.
Yeah, Florio made a good tackle. But that's the thing for Brien McMahon, right? They're a defense that, you know, Pablo Jasir has 88 tackles this season. You know, that's almost unheard of. And they haven't even finished their season yet. So, you know, that's a guy, he's everywhere. You also can't forget about Aiden Soyland, who has 2 interceptions this year. So Russi, he's got to be careful. But here it's not going to be Alex Russi. It's going to be Benevento. He's going to just do a little fake there. Out of the Wildcat there, Benevento, you know, making defenders work to try and tackle him down there. So that's another thing for New Canaan, John, right? They like to run the Wildcat. It's not always going to be, you know, Russi. I mean, we thought it'd be Robinson, but it's not always going to be Russi. They're going to put guys like Alex Benevento in the backfield, maybe guys like Luke Reed to try and make a play.
Yeah, you talk about it often. You see Benevento or Reed in the backfield in that Wildcat formation. Marinelli likes to run the ball and really work through the clock. He doesn't like to go take yardage gains in big increments. Usually you see him with a slower paced offense.
Russi on 1st and goal. Hands that ball off to Dylan Pryor. He's going to be looking for his 2nd touchdown of the night already, as we're just under 5 minutes to go in this first quarter. So, you know, this goal to go, this is where the New Canaan offensive line can really shine. I mean, they just subbed in Alex Benevento, so maybe he's going to get a touchdown by this goal line. But New Canaan, they're almost flawless in the red zone, John. What do you like about this red zone offense?
Yeah, just about everything. They're a dual threat offense. You obviously have the strong running game and passing game from the offense, but you also have Alex Russi, who as a quarterback is also that dual threat piece.
See, Luke Robinson has now entered the game. He's going under center. So we'll see where Robinson's going to go. It's going to be a handoff to Alex Benevento, who thinks he's down just short at about the 1 yard line, but there was Luke Robinson going under center, getting his first snap of the night. So, you know, we'll see what's going to be going on with this New Canaan offense. I'm not sure, you know, if Robinson just maybe first few drives just to maybe get back, but I don't know if it's also going to be split playing time tonight. But it's going to bring up a 3rd and goal from the 1 yard line. You know, we saw a couple weeks ago against Wilton, it looked like they were going to go tush push, and it was a fake. So we'll see what's going to happen here again. But it's still going to be Luke Robinson under center. He's got the three backs behind him. Robinson, it's going to be a play action fake back to the end zone. Touchdown for the Rams. It was Luke Reed, the do-it-all guy for New Canaan. Perfect throw by Luke Robinson, finding Reed. You know, the Luke-to-Luke connection right there. Great play call by New Canaan.
Yeah, you talk about that. That formation is so lethal, and New Canaan uses it to their advantage, as they can either hand it back for the easy rush up the middle, or the quarterback can keep it, or on the pass option there on the little screen, you can see the movement of the ball through the air.
Robinson, that was his 12th touchdown of the year. He has about 530 passing yards. He's only thrown 2 interceptions this year, so he's a guy, he's going to keep it clean. But right there from New Canaan, it was great execution, great play call, as Tucker Stevens nails that extra point to give New Canaan a 14-0 lead with 3 minutes and 37 seconds left in the first quarter.
Yeah, that play action there was lethal. And you talk about it, that Luke-to-Luke connection, really playing a good, nice, solid piece, adding another 7 to the Rams lead, up 14-0 now, just not even through the entire first quarter yet.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the replay there, 3 backs in the backfield. You know, if you're Brien McMahon, surely New Canaan's going to hand this ball off, but they run the play action, and Luke Reed just perfectly right behind the linebackers to be able to score. So New Canaan has been looking, I mean, pretty much perfect throughout, you know, this first quarter, and we're not even done yet. So it's going to be Tucker Stevens going to boot this one deep. So we'll see if we take another angle. Look at this. Great camera work by our NCTV crew. Just from the back, Luke Robinson with the play action fake. Perfect throw over the top of the Brien McMahon defense. So that is NCTV. That's our new camera, John. You know, I know that we're happy in the booth, and, you know, a lot of people around that are going to be able to watch this. They're going to love it.
Yeah, you talk about New Canaan, NCTV doing everything they can to stream as many games as they can. So far, obviously, we're joined here for another amazing football game.
So that ball
It's going to be caught a little bit of a slowdown there by Brien McMahon, but look at the special teams coverage by New Canaan. Everyone getting to the ball there. Brien McMahon can get almost nothing from that return by Adrian Vega, who's been getting most of these kickoff returns tonight. But New Canaan, special teams, defense, they've been looking perfect throughout this first quarter.
And New Canaan doing a really good job of kind of shutting the door early. Obviously up 14-0, haven't had the ball for that long off the Dylan Pryor. Easy 50-yard rush up the middle. And then they worked the ball a little bit on that last possession, moving down the field in slower increments, but really just dominating on every play.
So it's going to be the third drive for Brien McMahon and Eamon Boyle. You know, not much going for Jaheim Daniel so far, so we'll see if we'll be able to get the rock more, as it is Daniel who gets the call. But that's only about a 1-yard, 2-yard rush there. It's this New Canaan defensive line. You know, all those guys up front, everyone's getting to the ball and making a tackle on Daniel. So it's going to bring up, I think, about a 2nd and 7 here. So they'll give him 3 yards there on that run. So, you know, New Canaan with this bend, don't break. Just been looking good so far for the Rams. So we'll see. Will be Eamon Boyle again. No, I think this is interesting to know for Brien McMahon. This team almost beat Darien this season. They lost 21-14. You know, whoever, you know, the person you asked, they might say that Brien McMahon were robbed at the time, but it was a close game, which is interesting to see, as Eamon Boyle is just going to throw that little screen pass out over into the middle of the field. That was going to be caught by Jeremiah Jordan there. Yeah. So that was a good little route there by Brien McMahon, right? You got to just build those little screen increments to get up the field if you can, John.
Yeah, you got to talk about it. They're on a 2-game losing streak. Obviously not able to find anything the past 2 games. They need to get into this offense. They need to score early to get that momentum back.
So it's going to be first down as Brien McMahon. I think that's just what you got to do. You got to move this ball up the field, as there's going to be another handoff to Jaheim Daniel. And again, it's just the same thing we've been calling tonight. He just gets stuffed just around the line of scrimmage. You know, all those guys on the New Canaan defensive line getting to the ball.
Yeah, and you talk about it. The New Canaan defense really doing everything they can so far to stop the run, and it's working. You wonder when Brien McMahon will try and pass the ball. Obviously, you got to work around the strong defense of New Canaan and Alex Benevento. I know we keep mentioning his name, but he had 2 picks last week, 2 pick sixes. This New Canaan defense has been relentless, having 5 interceptions last week.
Boyle is going to roll out to his right, fire that one across the middle, caught by Lucas Silva, one of the captains for Brien McMahon. So it will bring up a third down, you know, short of the sticks, and these are the downs for Brien McMahon. You got to convert, because if you can't get this first down, New Canaan's going to get the ball back. I mean, from what we've seen so far, we got to imagine they'd score the ball again.
Yeah, you talk about it at a 3rd and 3, so 3rd and short. Although you don't want to get to 3rd down often, you'd rather be at a 3rd and 3 than a 3rd and 12. On the last time when it was 3rd and 12, they got 11. We'll see if they can pick up at least 3 on this play.
So we'll see if Jaheim Daniel's going to get the call. Obviously, this guy with 17 rushing touchdowns this season, almost 1,000 rushing yards. So we'll see if Brien McMahon's dialing up his name. They're not. It's going to be Boyle's going to roll right. Ball is just caught at the sticks. We'll see where the ref's going to spot. It looks like it will be just short. So this is a situation where you're Brien McMahon. Do you risk it? Do you want to go for it? You're at your own 40-yard line. You know, we see teams all over college football in the NFL with this new quarterback sneak method when you're at 4th and short, but at your own 40-yard line, we're going to see. It looks like the refs actually might take one more look at this as they're, you know, congregating around the ball. But as of right now, it's going to be a 4th and 1 for Brien McMahon. It's a good roll out there by Eamon Boyle. So we'll see how the Senators will do. It looks like we actually have a change call now. It is going to be a first down. Yeah, it will be a first down for Brien McMahon. So the refs had a quick talk about that. Moving the change for Brien McMahon, as this running clock is just under 30 seconds now.
Yeah, and if you're Brien McMahon, that's what you want. You want to be able to convert on 3rd down. Those 3rd downs are so important, especially when you're in your own territory. You need to be able to move the ball up instead of punting and giving New Canaan such good field position every time.
New Canaan student section getting really loud and rowdy, as Jaheim Daniel's just going to get that handoff again, going almost nowhere, as these final seconds are going to roll out at the end of the first quarter. You know, John, from what we've seen from the Rams so far, it's been a spectacular showing on both offense and defense.
Yeah, you talk about it, really limiting to Brien McMahon to almost nothing. Obviously, they just converted on 1st down, but you saw them that first offensive possession really completely opened things up. What a way to open the game up with a 50-yard touchdown rush by Dylan Pryor. Obviously, senior returning from injury. That's the way to start things off. And then they were able to work the ball down and connect off a Luke-to-Luke connection.
Yeah, I mean, I think the play calling from New Canaan on that offensive side has been excellent. You know, that first touchdown, that's just great blocking, right? Dylan Pryor getting able to find the hole. But that second touchdown on the little play action fake, not one, not two, but 3 backs behind Luke Robinson there, and they just run the play action perfectly, and they score that touchdown. So we take a look at the camera work right here. It's almost getting into the huddle here. So it is 14-0 right now. So New Canaan, I mean, John, I know that we were predicting a New Canaan win, but I think both of us thought that this might be fairly close, and especially when we saw Alex Russi get into this game. We thought that Brien McMahon would have a good shot of keeping this one close, but it's 14-0 right now as we start the second quarter.
Again, that stat, in the 4 games that they won, the teams are a combined record of 1-30, so they haven't really won any big games so far. Obviously, you talked about it, they lost to Darien by just a singular touchdown, as that was in week 2 of the regular season. And Darien was probably just figuring things out, as all these high school programs are. They're figuring things out the first week or 2 of the season, trying to figure out what they can and can't do with the talent they have.
Yeah, you know, Brien McMahon, they're 4-4 on the season right now. They haven't finished above 500 since 2014. So that's almost 10 years ago, right? 9 years, actually. So, you know, this is going to be something, if you win tonight, which would be huge for this program, but obviously you got to claw back, you got to fight back down 14 as we start the second quarter. So a little bit of a flip sides here for Brien McMahon. It's going to be Boyle's going to hand that one off. There's a flag. Looks like we might have had some movement. It's going to be on the defense, actually. A little bit of maybe neutral zone. I think we might have had an encroachment or lining up in the neutral zone. So, yeah, it's going to be an offsides on New Canaan. So, you know, if you're Brien McMahon, you'll take these New Canaan penalties.
And you talk about that winning record of New Canaan. They've won about 6 in a row so far against Brien McMahon recently. The last time Brien McMahon was able to beat New Canaan was in 2000. So you talk about it, 23 years ago was the last time New Canaan lost to Brien McMahon.
2000, that was a long time ago. I mean, geez, 23 years ago for Brien McMahon. And as we just mentioned, since 2014, haven't finished above 500. As Boyle's going to drop, he's going to roll out to his right, and it's a great pressure. It's again Owen Line. Ball came out. I think they're going to rule he was down. I think his knee might have already hit, but it's the great defense by New Canaan. It's Owen Lyden. He's been everywhere for the Rams defense tonight, John.
Yeah, Owen Lyden has been a key on this defensive front so far. You talk about it. He was right there, able to make the tackle and almost force this fumble. It was so close.
Yeah.
As we're looking at the replay again, maybe he wasn't down.
Yeah.
It didn't look like his knees touched the ground.
That one was pretty close. I mean, if we were really able to get a slow-mo replay, but again, Owen Lyden was just like a rocket, came through that offensive line, was able to, you know, put pressure on Brien McMahon. I think Marinelli might be talking to the ref, so he thought that ball might have been out, but they're not buying it. So it's going to be a 3rd and 15 on their own 36. You can see defense coordinator Chris Silvestri is telling his guys to get back, right? This is a situation you just don't want to give up these yards. Spoil that ball. Oh, I mean, you got to imagine that one probably should have been picked there by Michael Smith, but that one just went off his hands. I mean, it looks like he tried to intercept that one, but, you know, if you're New Canaan, you'll take that, force another Brien McMahon punt.
Yeah, although you are really unfortunately annoyed that Michael Smith couldn't come down with that one, you still are going to get the ball in decent field position. But if Michael Smith intercepts that one, he may have the opportunity to house that. That would have been the first interception, 6th in the past 2 games. But it's rough. It's obviously the reaction time is very quick there to try and make the interception.
Yeah, I mean, if Smith picks that ball off, I mean, he's taking that the other way for 6 and giving New Canaan a 3-possession game. It's another great pressure by New Canaan. I mean, you got to imagine one of these might get blocked. Benevento's going to catch that at around his own 35-yard line. It's great blocking by New Canaan. Benevento is going to have a great return, spinning back into the middle of the field. And Alex Benevento is going to get this into Brien McMahon territory. Great return by Benevento.
Yeah, Benevento found some room on that side, close to the sideline, able to exploit it and move up that sideline really quite quickly. And then the spin move, put on the spin cycle, almost like a Madden move there.
Yeah.
What a great play by the senior captain.
Yeah, he was moving the right stick there, and maybe even hitting the spin cycle there, but that's a great play by Alex Benevento. Obviously, you know, one of these seniors, and that's what's so important. We talked to Coach Lou Marinelli earlier about seniors, and he just says it's so special. You know, I asked him, do you get a little emotional? He says, you know, I kind of save that for after the game, right? Before and during the game, it's just all about what's happening on the field, and then after, you know, once the season begins to start to a close, then you maybe get a little bit emotional. As it's going to be Alex Russi. Hands that one to Dylan Pryor, back to Langford, and back to Russi. Great trick play, and wide open for New Canaan is a touchdown to Luke Reed. What a play call by New Canaan. I mean, that is one of the most unique plays I think I've ever seen, John.
Yeah, look at the flea flicker there. Pass back and then found Luke Reed wide open on the sideline. What a great throw. Put the bread right in the bread basket there.
Yeah, I like that term, bread in the bread basket. You know, we've seen 2 NFL teams run that play already this season, the Detroit Lions and the San Francisco 49ers, when you got guys like Sam Laporta and George Kittle, but New Canaan just ran that perfectly right there. You know, Luke Reed maybe just looking like George Kittle right there, wide open in that space, and gives New Canaan a 20-0 lead pending this extra point, but beautiful execution by New Canaan, John.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that opens up that play is actually the strong running game of New Canaan. Brien McMahon has to commit to stop Dylan Pryor, and when they do that, the offense of the front 7 collapses, and then it leaves Luke Reed wide open. So that running game really opened up that passing touchdown there.
Yeah, so that was Alex Russi again on that touchdown throw. So it's going to be a little interesting what we're going to see tonight from both those guys as you take another look at this replay. Great play call by New Canaan, and Luke Reed had miles of room around him. You know, the only threat there, only worry is if he drops that ball, but he's got one of the surest hands on this team, so that's going to be a catch every time. But yeah, I mean, for New Canaan, this is really interesting between Alex Russi and Luke Robinson, but Russi put the ball on the money right there.
And that's 2 touchdowns early for Luke
Reed.
Reed. And Robinson also has 2, I think, or 1.
One passing touchdown, yeah. But yeah,
and Russi really playing well, filling the shoes that he needs to fill.
Yeah, so that's Alex Russi's first passing touchdown of the year. So, you know, after this game, he'll take a look at his stats. I'm sure he'll be proud. Maybe he'll even get a rushing touchdown on here. As we mentioned, he almost has 250 rushing yards on the season. So it's been all New Canaan so far through this first quarter, and just a little bit to go, you know, just start in the second quarter. So Tucker Stevens will boot this one deep. But I think, John, for New Canaan, their defense has looked spectacular. And we always know New Canaan's got one of the best defenses in all of the state, but tonight they're really proving it.
Yeah, they have a wonderful staff led by Chris Silvestri, and obviously in the weight room, Coach Miska, who is probably the best strength coach in the FCAC.
Yeah, for sure. It's Brien McMahon's going to get this kick return. It's going to be a pretty decent return out to about around the 35-yard line. That was, again, Adrian Vega on the kick return.
And another opportunity for Brien McMahon to try and get something. Obviously, you got to wonder when they're going to go to desperation mode, down 21-0, and New Canaan showing no signs of slowing down.
Yeah, I think for Brien McMahon, you got to start dialing up pass plays, but that's going to be tough for such a run-heavy team. You know, Jaheim Daniels has done virtually nothing really for this first quarter and a little bit more. So now Eamon Boyle is going to just start having to throw the football. You got to hit your key receivers like Braden Darling and Jermel Bynum, along with Lucas Silva. So we'll see how they'll be able to respond here.
Yeah, well, when Boyle drops back, he has seen so much pressure so far from Owen Leiden in the front 7 of the Rams.
Again, you just mentioned right there are some flags down the field. The ball was completed to about the 40-yard line with the catch there by number 7, Jeremiah Jordan, but we'll see the flags. So the refs are going to meet, but we're just talking about it, John. It's pressure, constant pressure from this New Canaan front 7. You know, they can send blitzes, but even when they don't, they're still getting pressure on Brien McMahon. So we'll see. Looks like the Brien McMahon offense is taking some steps back. So we're going to have penalty on the Senators. So if you're New Canaan, you know, you don't want to give up completions, but you'll take the penalties, move them back. But I think it will be a replay of down, so it's just going to be a first down, but obviously the chains are way farther than they were in the previous play.
It's going to be a 1st and 20 in their own zone at about the 25. They got to get out of their own zone right now.
It's going to be Eamon Boyle again. On 1st and 20, we'll see if they're going to want to throw the ball as we see pressure again on that right edge. As there's going to be the handoff to Daniels. Jaheim Daniels just not going to get too much there. It's just, again, the New Canaan front 7 has been everywhere so far. So you can see the junior linebacker, Simon Shakarov, in on the tackle. So it's going to be a 2nd and 14. Now you're at your own 32. Not ideal for Brien McMahon, but it's not out of the picture for them to get a first down. If you're Eamon Boyle, you got to hope your offensive line just gives you enough time so you can fire that ball over across the middle of the field.
Yeah, the Brien McMahon line has got to step up if they want to keep their team in this game.
Boyle's going to drop back in the shotgun again. More of this pressure. Boyle's just got to take it with his legs. Michael Smith with a great tackle, going all the way from his role at safety to get over there. You know, he almost has a pick earlier this game, and that's going to be Eamon Boyle just running the football. You know, he's a guy, he has 36 carries for 258 yards and 4 touchdowns this season. So he's a guy, just like Alex Russi, that knows how to run the ball if his pocket starts to collapse.
Yeah, now that forces the 3rd and 5, which is right in between that long and short distance, where maybe they can't run the ball because they've been stopped so many times so far, but they got to figure out a way to convert, as they are already 1 for 2 on 3rd down conversions.
Yeah, you know, 3rd and 5, this is a dilemma for most coaches and even Madden players alike. Do you want to run the ball? Do you want to pass the ball? You know, this is something that's going to be interesting to see for Brien McMahon. So it's a matter of, can Eamon Boyle just get protection if they want to, you know, throw the ball? Or you got Jaheim Daniel to run. It is going to be a throw for Boyle out to that right side of the sticks, and that was dropped. Looks like that was Jeremiah Jordan on the drop. He looks like he would have been hit just a little bit short of the sticks, though. So it's going to be another 4th down for Brien McMahon. And it looks like the punting unit's coming out. So again, the special teams for New Canaan, they got to make another big play, but Benevento's had some great returns already, John.
Yeah, the smothering defense there of the Rams, forcing a little bit of pressure. And now Benevento back there yet again to receive another punt. Obviously, Brien McMahon has punted on all 4 possessions so far, or 3.
Yeah, so it's going to be Benevento, as we just mentioned, back there around his own 30-yard line. New Canaan, they've got pressure on almost all these punts so far. It's going to be another great rush. Benevento, that ball is going to bounce. See if we'll just let that one get claimed by Brien McMahon. They're going to stop that one at around the 25-yard line. So again, it's going to be the Rams offense. We see Alex Russi again getting in the huddle. So you got to imagine it's going to be him, and with Luke Robinson with the headset on. I mean, this is just very intriguing from what we've seen from New Canaan so far. Luke Robinson, you know, we got in, he did throw the touchdown, but besides that, he's had the headset on the sideline.
Yeah, definitely a better punt if you're Brien McMahon, forcing New Canaan back to their own 25-yard line. So obviously New Canaan not getting that luxury of the starting position, being at the 50-yard line again. But they're so lethal as an offense that they have a chance.
So it's going to bring up a 1st and 10, ball on their own 26-yard line for New Canaan. See Cooper Smith now in the backfield. You know, we've seen Dylan Pryor a lot, but it's going to be Cooper Smith. Smith's not going to get the handoff. It's going to be a throw out to Alex Benevento. He's got a little bit of room along this sideline, trying to stiff arm defender. He's going to go out. Some blocking downfield there by Michael Smith. So again, I think we've seen a lot of play action so far for New Canaan. Almost there's a little bubble screen right there out to Alex Benevento. But that's, again, some great play calls by New Canaan.
Yeah, some good play calling by the Rams offensive coordinators, and getting that ball out of your hand quickly is what has allowed the Rams to do what be so successful so far. Obviously, Russi or Robinson hasn't had to hold that ball in their hands and go and try to run it. They've been able to get that ball out to receivers such as Benevento.
Russi's going to drop back again, hitting Benevento on that short out route. He's going to get pushed to about the 42, 43-yard line. So New Canaan have just been moving these chains so far. They're just short of a 1st down here. But, you know, this is a situation you could punch this in with the 1-2 punch. You got Dylan Pryor. Or if you don't want to hand the ball off to him, then you got Cooper Smith.
Yeah, both very good running backs for this Rams team. Obviously, Pryor broke free tonight, but Cooper Smith has been doing so much so far this year.
So 3 receivers set on the left side to Alex Russi. It's only Luke Reed to his right. Again, you got Cooper Smith in the backfield. We'll see if Brien McMahon are going to start to stack this box a little bit. This is going to be a read option. That one's just going to be kept by Alex Russi. See, it might be that they're calling him just short there. So it's going to bring up a 3rd and 1, 3rd and inches for New Canaan. And these are situations where the Rams thrive on these 3rd, 4th, and shorts.
And you talk about a reason for that is they have so many options. You talk about if the quarterback can keep it. Usually they run the Wildcat on a 3rd and short or a 4th and short. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here.
Yeah, as you just mentioned, John, with those Wildcat, but on this 3rd down, looks like we're just going to go with an empty shotgun look. So maybe this is encouraging. If they don't get this, maybe they will go for it on 4th down, because this is not very a traditional look on a 3rd and 1, just go an empty set with your 5 wideouts. So we'll see as Cooper Smith transitioned over from wide receiver from running back over to wide receiver. So then the receiver, looks like the refs did move the chains for a 1st and 10, by the way. So it is going to be a 1st down for New Canaan. So the refs are meeting over it. So, we're a little confused up here. Originally, we thought they were marked short. Second time that the refs have, originally marked that ball short, but have given a 1st down. It's their meeting. So in this time, John, obviously, New Canaan, what have you liked so far? And I'll talk specifically about that rushing offense.
Yeah, their rushing offense has been lethal. Most of it caused by that front 7 of New Canaan, able to create those gaps and holes, but also just the ability to create yards off of little plays like Benevento. You see him getting those extra 3 or 4 yards, and those add up. Obviously, they move the chains, and you get from a 2nd and 7 to like a 3rd and 2.
Well, it looks like they're actually moving it back, so I was right. I'll give myself a little pat on the back right there. I love pats on the back. So we're going to see there that it is going to be a 3rd and 1. So now we got to just see, is this going to be the shotgun formation, which you got to imagine it's not. Some dad down there, maybe a little upset there. So it's a 3rd and 1 for New Canaan. Again, Cooper Smith lining up to Alex Russey's left. Russey hands that ball off to Cooper Smith. Enough for a 1st down, and Cooper Smith finds the open hole again, and he is gone. 5, touchdown, and it's 27-0 for New Canaan. Great run blocking for the Rams.
What a touchdown by the senior. Obviously, Cooper Smith maybe saying, Dylan Pryor, whatever you can do, I can do better there, as he broke through his front line. And a part of what made that play so lethal is the Brien McMahon defense bit on Alex Russey with the ball. Russey gave it and faked it really nicely and shifted everybody to the left. And then Cooper Smith goes right up, able to use that speed and agility to get through those 2 defenders. As we look at the replay here, Cooper Smith, once he was gone, he was gone.
Yeah, Cooper Smith, he just finds the open hole just around the A-gap there. It's just perfect blocking by New Canaan. We saw it on Dylan Pryor's run, and we just saw it right there on Cooper Smith, as the PAT is good to give New Canaan a 28-0 lead, and we're not even at the 6-minute mark in the 2nd quarter, John.
Yeah, you talk about it. It's been all New Canaan so far, up 28-0, and 4 touchdowns early on, and really doing it in a variety of different ways, from play action to running the ball, straight up running the ball, and getting the ball out of Robinson and Russey's hands quickly.
Yeah, I think we're talking about the offensive line, the center bench Sibbett. I also want to give, a little shout out right there to the right guard, Adrian Delicata. He's only a sophomore, but he's one of the biggest guys on the field, and he knows how to block. Sometimes, these sophomores that start, they're a little unfamiliar, but you see 2 sophomores starting on this New Canaan offense with both Adrian Delicata and Andrew Esposito. So Tucker Stevens is going to come out with 4 for 4 on PATs. He's had some fairly good kicks tonight, and it's been the special teams play in New Canaan that's really, been surprising the most. And if you're Brien McMahon, you've had almost nothing on offense throughout your first few drives, and is there situations when you start to get into 3rd and longs, John, they just become unconvertible.
Yeah, you talk about pressure, and New Canaan really bringing the pressure on every single play. Even when they don't blitz, it looks like they're blitzing because the guys on the edge are able to get past their blockers, and you just see New Canaan dominating the game on the defensive end and offensive end.
A little miscommunication as that ball fell onto the ground, but McMahon, so flag's going to fly in. That was the return by Adrian Vega. So we'll see that ball kind of bounced in there. It seems like a little hot potato. I don't want it. You don't want it. But eventually Vega ended up with it.
Let's take a moment to shout out the throw of the flag from the ref there. Almost to midfield. That was pretty impressive.
I saw, you were cracking up a little bit. I mean, hey, that was a good throw. Maybe he might have to go out there and play some quarterback for Brien McMahon soon. But, so we'll see what the flag was. It's going to be pushing.
Maybe a push in the back?
Yeah, it might be. So, I mean, we'd see Brien McMahon moving already down the field, so it was a penalty against them. So, again, these are just unforeseen errors. You can't be having that if you're Brien McMahon. You can hear the New Canaan student section. They're on their feet. They're jumping around, getting loud, getting to the heads of these Brien McMahon players.
Yeah, instead of the ball being at maybe the 30, it looks like it's going to be all the way back at their 15, own 15, which is really bad field position.
Yeah, so, now if you're Ian Boyle, this is just a tough situation. You've been pressured almost all night, right? And now you just got to find these situations to find the open man, right? But that's been tough with how good this New Canaan secondary has been being. So that one's handed off to the left side, excuse me. That was not Jaheim Daniel. I think that was Joshua Florio there. So
And
Florio
New
gets
Canaan's-
that.
New
Yep.
Canaan's defense swarming Florio there again. Not much open room, not much open space to go. If you're in that backfield, Brien McMahon, what are you supposed to do when you're being obliterated?
Yeah, I mean, this is a Brien McMahon team that average 180 rushing yards per game. Right now, I'm not even sure if they're at that 20-yard mark. Yeah, I mean, New Canaan's defense has been looking phenomenal so far, rushing-wise, but also the passing defense as well. So it's going to bring up a 2nd 14. Ball on their own 11. So Brien McMahon, just a tough situation. You don't want to run too far back to get a safety here. That one's just going to be handed off again to Florio. And all the hats at the ball by this New Canaan defense. You know, you see all those linebackers getting in there. It's been looking great for New Canaan so far.
Yeah, you talk about it, that rushing defense and that passing defense. Probably could have had 2 interceptions, one off the hands of Owen Lyden and that one that hit off the hands of Michael Smith. But also that running defense able to stop them. And you're right, they may not even be in double-digit yards right now. I'm not sure entirely, but we'll have to check. It's been really an impressive showing from the New Canaan defense so
Yeah, you
far.
saw senior Ryan Barnard was the first to get there. He's one of these underrated pieces of this New Canaan defense. You know, playing linebacker. You know, he's the guy in the season who, we'll see if we can get the stats here, has 30 tackles. He's, you know, recovered a fumble and got a sack. As Boyle took a big shot. Surprised the ref didn't, you know, throw a flag. He's a little gimpy getting up there. That ball was completed, but Eamon Boyle took a shot. Almost looked like in the back, so he's possibly limping a little bit, you know, when you take those shots. But it's a 4th and 5, so he's just going to go over to the sideline, take a little break. But that's going to be something to watch for the rest of this first half, John.
Yeah, Boyle there. Obviously a rough hit. New Canaan's defense coming off the field really fired up, and they have every right to be fired up 28-0, and really not allowing Brien McMahon to move the ball or allowing them to get anything so far. Be interesting, though. That's definitely a story to watch as this game progresses.
Low punt there. Benevento is standing at the 50-yard line, so if he catches that, it's already plus position, as it is right there. As that ball goes out of bounds in the plus territory for New Canaan. So with just about 3 minutes and 35 seconds left to go in this first half, you know, John, New Canaan, they're looking to make it 35-0.
Yeah, 35-0 before the end of the half. 3 minutes and 35 seconds remaining, a 1st and 10 at Brien McMahon's 45-yard line. So amazing field position and almost a guaranteed field goal, maybe if they can move the ball up a little bit, just about maybe 20 yards, and you have that guaranteed field goal.
Yeah, so Luke Robinson staying on the sideline. I mean, I think now we're at the point we're probably not going to see him the rest of this game. You know, no risk in putting him in such a blowout game right now, but it's still going to be Russie. Hands that went off Dylan Pryor on the little halfback sweep, attempting to find the hole, but he's going to get some positive yardage. I think that was Michael McCarthy on the tackle there.
And you also got to wonder, though, if you're Marinelli, do you really trust Luke Robinson to come into the turkey ball, not having seen much live defense? Obviously, you know that you can't have him get injured, but how much of holding him back is too much?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be an interesting storyline for the Turkey Bowl. It's actually going to be here at Dunning, NCTV. We're going to cover that one. But it's going to be interesting. Luke Robinson, if he doesn't get in the rest of this game, I mean, he threw his touchdown, but he was only in for about a drive, maybe even only 2 or 3 plays, if anything. Dylan Pryor's going to get that handoff. Again, it's this constant great blocking by New Canaan. But, you know, going back to Russie and Robinson, if he's not got, you know, the green light to go, then it's going to be interesting to get, you know, back to Alex Russie. So just under 3 minutes to go. It's going to bring up a 2nd and actually going to give that a 1st down. So it's excuse me, 1st down as there is an injury. There's an injured Ram down on the field. So, you know, New Canaan, they're just going to use this time to try and regroup. Go back to the offense. You know, Russie's going to get his signals, but obviously you hope that the injured Ram's all right. I think that's halfback Dylan Pryor. You know, he's been getting the balls a few times on this drive. So now, you know, with this next man up, you still got Cooper Smith, obviously. But now maybe we're going to see if we're going to get some runs by Luke Reed, maybe even Alex Benevento. We'll take another look here. It was the handoff over to Pryor. Finds the hole, just takes kind of that low hit around his knee. You can see he's got a little limp on that right knee. You know, taking that low shoulder right to the knee. So hate to see that, unfortunately. But obviously, Cooper Smith, it's just got to be a next man up mentality, right? You're up 28-0, but now with one running back down, there's a lot of guys on New Canaan, sophomore Henry Stein and Andrew Liebau, those are guys, they got to put their helmet on, they got to get ready to go in.
Yeah, that's definitely a rough position if you're Marino. You never want to see your players get injured, your star players get injured when you're up 28 points. And Pryor took the low hit, what looked like a helmet hit, which those do
right
not
to the
feel
knee.
good. And he's trying not to put pressure on his right leg, it looks like, as he's going off the sideline.
Yeah.
But something else to watch.
So it's going to be Rusty now with Cooper Smith to his left. Hands that went off to Smith. Finding it to the right side. Great blocking, but actually might have been a little too good there. I think the ref's going to throw his flag. Is going to be holding on New Canaan. But the thing that stinks the most for Dylan Pryor is he got hurt in the last home game. He, hurt his ankle against Wilton. And again, now just hurting, his knee, not his leg, or his ankle, excuse me. But, I'm not going to assume. It looked like he got hit around that knee and is having to limp off. So not good for Dylan Pryor. So we probably will not see him for the rest of the night.
Yeah, I would assume that you're not going to see him. And then that maybe will push you away from putting in Luke Robinson. You just can't risk injuries before big games. As here's another replay of the Cooper Smith rush, able to get to the outside.
Yeah, that one was called back for holding, as we mentioned, from that offensive line there. So it's going to be a 1st and 20 on the Brien McMahon 39-yard line. Right here would be a 56-yarder for Tucker Stevens. I don't think he's going to want to get that one, hoping the offense can get a little bit more yards for him. Brien McMahon again showing blitz. Motion by New Canaan. Russie is going to be looking again over to the middle of that screen pass to Cooper Smith. Smith stays in bounds. The ball is out. Still loose. Looks like that's picked up by Brien McMahon. Cooper Smith leaves the ball on the ground, and the Senators recover. I think on the ball for Brien McMahon, it was Emerald Charles, one of the captains for Brien McMahon. Dylan Pryor comes out of the game. Cooper Smith, he gets in there. He catches the screen pass. Looked like he had some good yards, and he just loses the ball.
Yeah, there's a little bit of bad ball security there as he hit the ground, and Brien McMahon able to recover it. The screen pass there, poked free at the end of the play on his way down. But that was a good block in the front by Adrian Delicata in that line. Keep looking to see that line produce for the New Canaan offense.
Yeah, it looks like Smith just kind of fumbled that ball when he was transitioning it to his left hand because, when you want to try to go up to the left side of the field, and, you're going to lose the ball. But so Brien McMahon, they're going to get it back here. So Eamon Boyle looks at screen. That's a risky throw. Owen Lyden was over there. Same with Alex Benevento. That was intended, I guess, for Jaheim Daniel, but that was just a couple yards over his head.
And not what you want to see. It's like a final 2-minute situation. These are the things you practice, the 2-minute scenarios. 1 minute and 55 seconds remaining, down 28-0. You need to erase that 0 on the scoreboard.
Yeah, so again, 1 minute 55 left to go. It's 28-0 for New Canaan if you're just joining us. So we'll see if Brien McMahon, obviously forcing the turnover, that's something you got to be able to do. So we'll see what Brien McMahon's. That one's going to be a handoff again to Jaheim Daniels. And Daniels finds the hole. Jaheim Daniel with a great run into New Canaan territory. It's a great play by Brien McMahon. If you can just keep doing that with a little bit of the run game, then you're going to be able to be successful.
Yeah, you saw Daniels there. Daniel get free, and you saw him put on the highlight reel moves, that elusivity that you can see from Daniel. And you saw him really showcase his talent there, and that's what they've been missing so far. Though it is a highlight reel play, you don't need a highlight reel play every time. You just need positive yardage, positive gains consistently from that run game. You need that run game to produce.
That's why Jaheim Daniel is one of the best in the state. As that ball is thrown over to the right side, it's going to be caught. Looks like that was Lucas Silva, one of the captains for Brien McMahon. So now you can see a little bit more life from this offense, right? Forcing the turnover, defense into offense, right? It's a big football term. If your defense can force a stop, the offense has got to be able to convert. We take another look at that Daniel run. Great moves. Luke Bopp kind of got juked out of his shoes right there, but another great run by Jaheim Daniel. So plus territory finally. So we're just under the 1 minute mark. So Brien McMahon, you got to score. Preferably, you really need a touchdown. Field goal is not going to do too much for you.
And if you're McMahon, you haven't seen that defense to offense. Your defense hasn't been able to stop this New Canaan offense as the defense for the Rams there, able to force that loss of yards. About, looks like 2, that Owen Lyden.
Yeah, I think that was actually the sophomore Michael Harris that got in there on the sack, and he's playing tonight due to the injuries. So I think we have a timeout called by Brien McMahon. But, you know, going back to that quickly, it was, you know, Michael Harris who's playing tonight for the injuries.
Yeah, and we'd like to take a moment to thank our platinum and gold sponsors of the NC Rams All Sports Booster Club. And we'd like for you to look at our booster club. And then we'd also like you to follow our social medias. You can find us NCTV78 on Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. You're on YouTube right now watching us stream the New Canaan Friday Night Lights game against Brien McMahon.
Yeah, make sure that you're subscribed on the YouTube, because it's not just football, it's all sports. You know, me and you, we've covered a few soccer games. We're going to be doing football, you know, for the next little bit. And also you can watch, you know, our broadcast. You know, we have a weekly broadcast that we do. I know you were just on the sports. You know, I've done that this year. So, you know, a lot of fun. So just make sure, you know, you give us a follow, subscribe to us.
Yeah, on top of the broadcast, we also like to bring attention to our sports show, which is the Rams Club. We are putting that into production this year, really stepping up. And that's going to keep coming out. That is on the opposite week of the broadcast. So you can watch the broadcast one week, and then you can watch the sports show the next week. And throughout that time, you can watch our events. We cover as many Rams athletes as we possibly can, from inside the volleyball gym to out here on Dunning for a triage of sports, from football to volleyball, or to soccer to field hockey. And then when it comes into the winter, we go inside and we get some nice basketball, women's and men's. So we cover as many events as possible. And then in the spring is our staple, lacrosse.
John, that was a great promotion by you. I think I'm going to get some popcorn and just watch NCTV all night tonight. So here's Boyle again. He's going to handle it up to Daniel, and he is wrecked in the backfield. I think in there for New Canaan was number 76, Miles Chisholm, and that was just a great play by the New Canaan front seven.
Yeah, and Miles Chisholm is going to play football at that next level, obviously going D3. So New Canaan full of stars, as we're going to take a look at this hit again. And that was a monster hit, almost a hit stick in Madden terms. But
yeah, Miles Chisholm, you know, he's the guy. He's going to Washington Lee to play football. He has 18 total tackles this season, 7 sacks, a forced fumble, and an INT. You know, you don't normally see that from those defensive linemen, but he's able to really make an impact on all aspects on the defense.
Yeah, and you talk about that athletic ability of the lineman. I know, talk about when you think of linemen, you think about size and power, but in New Canaan we stress like agility and being able to jump up and get those SWAT downs, as well as a pick here or there. But they do a great job of not just strength and power, but also flexibility.
You know, if you're Jeffrey Quiroga, you know, head coach of Brien McMahon, you got to be telling your guys, we need a touchdown. Field goal is not going to do it. If you cut the lead to 25, that's really, sure, you get 3 points, but the momentum is not there. If you get a touchdown, at least you can sense a little bit. We got 6 points on the board. Hopefully you get the extra point too, maybe 7. So, you know, we'll see. Eamon Boyle, there's about 27 and a half seconds left here to go in this first half, so it's going to be Eamon Boyle.
It's also 4th and 10, so 4th and long. We'll see if they can convert here.
Boyle fires that one. He's running backwards. That's an interesting decision. See if they're going to mark that one shorter if his forward progress was able to get it, but it was the catch by Adrian Vega. And it looks like he was able to get enough for his first down. So there's 18 seconds left. So actually, refs they're looking at this one here. I think we just heard that New Canaan's going to be taking this one over on downs. It's going to be a first, and it will be a first down for the Rams. So just short, and you got to imagine there for Adrian Vega. It looked like that initial catch, he might have had enough for a first down, but he tried to cut that one back and was, you know, stopped just a yard short.
Yeah, that one stings definitely. Maybe instead of going to the inside, he could have gone to the outside and maybe would have found more success. Definitely an interesting decision there, and not able to get the first down. So that's going to give the Rams the possession, and looks like they might just take a kneel and let the first half wind down. 18 seconds remaining, up 28-0.
Yeah, New Canaan, they do have 3 timeouts, but with 18 seconds here, doesn't look like you're going to do much. Maybe just hand this ball off, take it over to the second half. Now, if you're Alex Russi, just give this one to Cooper Smith, get this clock down. It'd be hard to imagine they might try and push this ball down the field. They do have the timeout to do it, so we'll see what the play call will be. I mean, we've seen the play calling all night. It's actually been great by, you know, Jimmy Nugent, his offense. So it is going to be a pass from Alex Russi, but that play kind of just broke down. He's going to be sacked behind the line of scrimmage. and there was Emerald Charles. Sound's just going to take it down to the end of the first half, 28-0 for New Canaan. You know, it's been great blocking so far. So yeah, so there we go. As we just mentioned, end of the first half. It's been so far, it's almost like perfect for New Canaan. John, what have you liked from the Rams so far?
Yeah, I think that the statement defense to offense has really played a role in this game so far, especially for the Rams, almost entirely the Rams, as their stops, their ability to just completely shut down Brien McMahon's offense has given them good field position, and they've been able to convert on that, as well as that front seven of New Canaan opening up holes. Obviously, Dylan Pryor had that 50-yard rushing touchdown, as well as Cooper Smith had that dominant rushing touchdown. So they've been able to attack on both the rushing and passing in the air. So just an all-around solid effort for the Rams.
John, I think I have to go back to you about Alex Russi. You know, we were surprised that he came out there and started the game, but what have you liked from him so far?
Yeah, just his ability to kind of change things up, whether he runs the ball or passes the ball. He's been able to get the ball out of his hands quickly, which is always what you want to see from your quarterback, because it keeps them from getting hit, and then they're running, him being able to run the ball or pass the ball out to the running backs.
So yeah, we mentioned that Luke Robinson wasn't able to go, and it's going to be Alex Russi. But for more on Luke Robinson not starting this game, we're going to cut it down to PJ Neville on the sideline.
Thanks, fellas. And the Rams have played a great half, leading 28-0, but they've been missing their starting quarterback, Luke Robinson, for a majority of it. Robinson had a couple plays down here at the goal line where he did wind up throwing a touchdown, but overall, he's been out for a solid, just a solid amount of this first half. So the Rams, obviously, going into the Turkey Bowl next week, they might want to get him a couple more reps here in the second half to get him some more preparation and confidence heading into the Turkey Bowl next week. Back up to you.
We just saw, actually behind PJ right there, Dylan Pryor, unfortunately, with those crutches. John, how's that going to affect New Canaan throughout the rest of the season and tonight?
Yeah, that's definitely going to hurt. That's definitely a punch in the gut. Obviously, Dylan Pryor has been a big part of this rushing offense, and as much as he has been a big part, it is rough. They also do have Cooper Smith, luckily, so it's not like their entire running game is gone, but Dylan Pryor definitely hurts.
Yeah, so good insight there, John. So we'd also, now at halftime, like to thank our sponsors. So this game is sponsored by our NC Rams All Sports Booster Club Platinum and Gold sponsors. We would like to thank our Platinum sponsor, Anderson Kenny Architecture, a full-service practice that encompasses a range of commissioned residential and commercial projects. Each project is a thoughtfully collaboration tailored for clients and their needs. The outcome is highly personal, constructed with intention and integrity. We'd like to thank our Platinum sponsor, Dr. William Fessler of Fessler Family Dentistry, the dental office for your entire family's dental needs. At William Fessler Family Dentistry, smile, you're in good hands. Platinum sponsor, Frangione Engineering. Planning on putting in a pool or an addition onto your house? Are you having drainage issues on your property? Frangione Engineering can help you find a solution. Platinum sponsors and NCHS alumni Leo and Steve Carl of Carl Chevrolet, who have been proud supporters of local athletic programs for generations. Their dealership has been serving Fairfield County since 1927. Their team is ready to assist with all of your automotive needs.
I'd also like to take a moment to thank our Platinum sponsor, Manfredi Jewels. Manfredi Jewels, your local official Rolex jewelry, is excited to continue carrying the finest jewelry and watch brands. Welcome the New Canaan community in their newly renovated store this fall. Go Rams! Platinum sponsor, Renaissance Partners, a family-owned and New Canaan-based residential building and remodeling company serving all of Fairfield County. Platinum sponsor, Walter Stewart's. Walter Stewart's Market has supported New Canaan Rams athletics in the entire New Canaan community for years. Walter Stewart is your fresh local market. We'd also like to thank our gold sponsor, Performance Optimal Health, who proudly supports all New Canaan Rams athletes in their 24-23 seasons. Their team helps clients achieve their health goals through exercise, recovery, nutrition, and stress management. They offer their congratulations to all teams competing this season. Again, a big thank you to all of our sponsors. The New Canaan Rams All Sports Club's booster supports all New Canaan athletics. Go Rams.
Thank you, John. Well, that's it from us from the first half, but don't go anywhere. We still have an entire second half of football, 28-0 for the Rams. We'll see you in the second half. Welcome back to Dunning Stadium here for the start of the second half. You know, John, 28-0. It's been all New Canaan so far. What have you liked?
Yeah, New Canaan has been playing so solid so far, dominating on both the defensive and offensive end. Talk about it. Key contributors include Dylan Pryor, as well as the backfield of Cooper Smith, his backfield partner of Cooper Smith.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there is the injury with Dylan Pryor, though, that we saw obviously walking on crutches right as they went into the halftime locker room. And I think another interesting story, you know, our sideline reporter, Patrick Neville, touched on that, was kind of Luke Robinson and then Alex Russi. But Russi's been able to step in. He's been doing a great job so far.
Yeah, Russi has been playing so well. Russi has stepped in for Luke Robinson, who is obviously injured the past 2 games, and then has played most of tonight, playing very solidly and able to use both his arms and his legs.
Yeah, and I think another key for New Canaan, it's been the defense, right? Obviously, they're hosting the shutout right now. And, you know, John, I think when you look at this front seven, even the secondary, what have you liked so far?
Yeah, everything has been working for them, as we will get to some highlights here in a short second. They've been playing so well. Looking at the highlights here. Here was the second play on the Rams' first offensive possession. Dylan Pryor able to break free for a 50-yard touchdown run. And then here was the pitch to Alex Benevento, able to get extra yards on what looked like was going to be a tackle.
Yeah, and you can see that run right there from Alex Benevento. And that's kind of what it's been all day for New Canaan. Here was the great touchdown. This is from Luke Robinson on the play action, right? Just finding Luke Reed in the back of the end zone, that Luke-to-Luke connection. I think we have another angle from the back of the end zone. Just look at this. This is great camera work by our guys at NCTV. But Luke Robinson right over the top to find Luke Reed.
Yeah,
you know,
not just on the offensive end have they been dominating. Here's some defensive highlights. Obviously able to contain star running back Jaheim Daniel, who has been really playing so well this entire season, but not able to find anything against the Rams tonight, as well as star quarterback Amon Boyle.
Yeah, Eamon Boyle, you know, hasn't been able to do too much from this New Canaan defense, as you can just see. It's just been the constant swarming from this front seven of New Canaan. So we take some more looks of Brien McMahon on the offense. It's just constant pressure. There was Owen Leiden with a great takedown there. That ball went out, but he was ruled down. You know, Boyle, again, just rolling right. He's a lot of rolls so far. That ball was almost picked off by Michael Smith. We saw that one. He was a little frustrated on the sidelines. He wasn't able to pick that one off. And then here was the trick play touchdown. It was a beautiful play, something that we've seen from NFL teams this year. Luke Reed wide open from Alex Russi.
Yeah, the flea flicker there from the connection, as well as here's some more defensive highlights. Just look at the amount of pressure that they're able to get on Boyle throughout the entire game, but especially on that play. And here is Boyle's one bright spot of the day, where he took off and was able to shorten a second and I believe like 13 down to a 3rd and 4.
Yeah, I mean, you can see from this highlight right there, it's just been the short passes from Alex Russi, whether it's RPOs or these little screen bubbles. So we've been able to do that. So that was, again, a great highlight package that was collected there. Right now we actually have some halftime scores from around Connecticut. First, we have Greenwich winning 28-0 over Ridgefield at halftime. So that's a big-time score there. Wilton up 28-6 over Fairfield Ludlow at the half. We have West Haven, a big top 10 matchup. They're up 13-7 over Cheshire at halftime, and then Trumbull with a 28-17 lead over West Hill. So those are some scores around the state right there. As looks like just in time for the second half to begin. It's going to be booted deep. So, now it's 28-0. John, I wonder when we're going to start to see some, there's a little squib kick right there. Wonder when we're going to start to see some guys that might not get as much playing time getting for New Canaan.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Marinelli decides to do and whether or not he wants to continue playing his starters or he wants to not run the risk of them getting injured. Obviously, we saw Pryor get injured at the end of the first half, which is unfortunate to see if you're a Rams fan. It'll be interesting to see who he puts in behind the shotgun.
Yeah, so New Canaan's going to take over at their own 42-yard line. So this has just been great from New Canaan. It's been the special team so far. We've been calling their name a lot on both kickoffs and punt returns, just setting up the offense in good position. So we'll be Alex Russi getting the gun. We'd probably be expecting him for the next few quarters, or even if they want to go again back to the third string. So he's got Cooper Smith to his left. Man, kind of stacking that box. Going to be a handoff to Cooper Smith. Another hole, and Cooper Smith using the lightning speed. He is gone. Touchdown, New Canaan.
Yeah, that play looked way too easy. That front seven of New Canaan plowing a hole through the middle of the field. Smith running right through that hole, that gaping hole, and able to use his acceleration there to get by the defenders. And that is his second rushing touchdown on the day. Has about, I would guess, 100 yards of rushing so far off two big run plays. What another run by Cooper.
Yeah, obviously the seniors scoring on senior night. You love to see it. You take a look. It's just a great blocking. I mean, you can see Delicata there at the right guard spot, just creating that hole for Cooper Smith to be able to run that in. I mean, this is just starting to turn to a bit of a blowout. I mean, this is just an insurmountable lead for Brien McMahon. This is like Madden on rookie mode when you're playing your little brother, right? You're already up 35-0, and this third quarter just started.
Yeah, 35-0 is the score of this game. Just about 18 seconds into the second half, New Canaan putting up another touchdown on the board quickly, wasting no time getting back into that offense. Brien McMahon now has a chance to kind of answer them, but we haven't seen anything from them so far.
Yeah, so it's going to be Tucker Stephens again. He's been doing a great job kicking tonight. Perfect on his PATs. Brien McMahon, if you're Eamon Boyle, you just got to move the ball down the field. There's no time for these 2-3 yard runs. You just got to be trying to move the chains as fast as you can. Finding your open receivers. We haven't really had to call too many names of some of these guys on Brien McMahon, wide receiver wise. And I think that's just a matter, like guys like Braden Darling, Lucas Silva only a couple times, but this is just showing the great defense and secondary by New Canaan.
Yeah, you talk about it, that secondary really almost one-upping that performance from last week. Obviously, can't one-up 5 interceptions that they had last week. 2 from the senior captain, Alex Benevento, who he returned for 6. Both of them, 2 pick sixes. But you see New Canaan really not giving up anything, holding the shutout through the first half.
Yeah, I mean, we've almost seen a pick six tonight from New Canaan when Cooper Smith, that was Michael Smith actually, who dropped that interception earlier. Probably would have returned that one to the house. It's Brien McMahon, field now return. They're just going to get dropped inside their own end. So New Canaan, they've just been doing what they got to be doing. I think, we talked to Coach Marinelli earlier, and we asked him, how is it important to get your guys to focus on this game and not the Darien game? And he just is kind of telling us the same thing, that he hasn't really heard too much chatter from his players, his coaches, about the Darien game. It seems that they're focused on this one. But, now maybe it starts to enter their minds that, Turkey Bowl is next up, and they're going to start to be focused on that one.
Yeah, we talked to Marinelli, and he talked about all the distractions that have been arising so far. Obviously, they played Wilton on homecoming, able to sneak out with a win in what was probably one of their more poor performances. And then they went and faced 2 teams that they knew they were significantly better than in Bridgeport Central and Norwalk. But that didn't get them off target, as they completely obliterated both of those teams and then came to this game on the schedule. And obviously got to stay locked in, because Connecticut football, you can lose a game that you don't want to lose, like New Canaan's first game where they lost to Shelton. Yeah,
and I think, going back to that New Canaan versus Bolton game, that was just a poor game from the Rams. When we talked to Coach, he said they were lucky to get it out of that one. And I think that's true, right? You went to overtime. There were miscues on all sides of the ball, with the PATs not going in, turnovers. Lucky to win that game, but right now they've been cruising against McMahon. So that one was handed off. believe that was, who's that? It's all right. I think that was, yeah, Joshua Florio on there. But, you know, I think now if you're Brien McMahon, Jaheim Daniels might not even be getting the rock too much anymore. Maybe they're just letting him go on the sidelines now.
You don't want to risk injuries, obviously. Whenever you put your players out there, you're risking an injury. In a game where you're down 35-0 or 35 up 35-0 on the opposite end of that score, you know, you talk about it, not wanting to force any more injuries upon or take the risk of injuring any of your star players.
Yeah, there's Boyle. He was targeting Braden Darling. We haven't really called his name much at all. You know, he was someone that we thought was going to have a big game tonight. You know, as you mentioned earlier, he has 13 catches, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns, right? The leading receiver for receptions on this Brien McMahon team, and he did not have a catch tonight.
And New Canaan has completely shut down both the run and passing offense of this Brien McMahon team. You know, Brien McMahon hasn't been able to get anything going, and we talked about Jaheim Daniel really stepping up in this game and hasn't had the opportunity to because he's just been mobbed by New Canaan defenders whenever he's gotten the ball.
Yeah, so something that we picked up here, I'm not sure if the cameras did, but the center, starting center, Ben Sibbett, that punt, she might have got tipped a little bit, but Ben Sibbett, he looked a little shaken up. You know, he's talking to the trainer down on the sideline, and you can see actually Baker Canner, the sophomore, he was getting warmed up, snapping that ball to Alex Russi. So we're going to see if we're going to get a change at center. And that's shaking things up again for New Canaan. You hate to see injuries, especially when you're up by 35 points.
Yeah, you talk about it. When is it that time to put in some of those underclassmen, get more experience at the varsity level? Obviously, New Canaan is a very deep team, obviously, and just like Darien and those other top programs, they have talent throughout the entire school, from seniors down to juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. Those underclassmen really can step up at times, such as a guy like Andrew Esposito.
Yeah, so Jacob Leibowitz is actually now in for Ben Sibbett at center, and also Hudson Kenny is now in the backfield with Alex Russi. As Luke Reed goes in motion, that one's going to be handed off to Hudson Kenny. He's going to get stuffed right around the line of scrimmage there by that McMahon defense. So, you know, John, you were just talking about it. Now when you're up 35, I think this is the opportunity, you know, guys that normally don't get in as much, you know, you're going to give them a little bit more experience and playing time.
You talk about it, you can really put in anyone you want here. How about you put in a guy like Rob Frangione?
Yeah, I know that he's an NCTV guy. You know, he is someone that we all respect in the NCTV community. We'd love to see him get the ball tonight. You know, John, I think that would be something that we'd all like.
Rusty's still in.
Yeah, the ball's going to be handed off there. They're still getting a lot of yards. They're still pushing this one, Hudson Kenny. So I wonder when the plug's going to be pulled on Alex Russi. Maybe you try and get Cole Campese in there at quarterback, or Jake Valente. You know, we saw him. He's been dealing with a knee injury recently, but, you know, he was taking some snaps in pregame, you know, just getting everyone ready. So, you know, I think eventually, especially when we get to this fourth quarter, it's just going to be these backup guys. You know, we've seen backups make plays, though. You know, against Norwalk, it was Henry Stein, the sophomore, blocked a punt and had a touchdown. So much talent on this New Canaan team that doesn't even get to play just because of, you know, their age and experience. But in a couple years, they will be at the top.
I do think there is a benefit, though, with keeping Rusty in there. Obviously an experienced veteran on the varsity squad, and, you know, he knows what he's doing back there behind center and can kind of orchestrate the offense. Yeah,
Rusty just took the quarterback power there. And, you know, this is a guy that started about 4 or 5 games last year as a sophomore quarterback, right? You don't see that. That was when Ty Groff was dealing with injury. He was now Division I kicker at the University of Rhode Island. But, you know, Alex Russi, this is a guy who really thought he'd be a quarterback. You know, might have been a little upset when he lost that job to Luke Robinson, but he's an outstanding receiver, and he can still play quarterback great. You know, he's taken visits all around different colleges. I know Pittsburgh and Boston College. So this is a guy that college scouts are looking at him. Again, as Russi steps up, he's going to just take that one off. It's a good move by him stepping up in the pocket. It's going to be taken down around the 24, 25-yard line as Lucas Silva on the tackle.
Yeah, moving that to a manageable 3rd and 4. You talk about it. Wanting to get some type of positive yardage gain there. Able to get that from the legs of Russi. And now moves that 2nd and 8 to a 3rd and 4. Nice manageable 3rd and 4 where you can pick up that 1st down.
Yeah, you can just see Alex Russi stepping up in the pocket, a little bit of a rush, but that's what he's so good with, just taking the ball up with his legs, bringing up a 3rd and manageable. Russi takes the shotgun snap. He's going to roll to his right, firing to Luke Reed. It's going to be a 1st down. And inside the 10-yard line for New Canaan, down to about the 5-6 yard line.
And you talk about it, Luke Reed has 2 touchdowns on the day. That play action pass in the back of the end zone with the great camera work, and then that flea flicker where he was wide open on the right side. As we see junior quarterback Luke Robinson, who we've been talking about, finally entering that huddle.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting, but you remember last time New Canaan were down just around the 5-yard line, that's when they ran that play action and Luke Robinson found Luke Reed. So imagine, again, it's the same formation as it was last time with those 3 guys in the backfield. So we'll see what Robinson's going to do here. That one's just handed off short. That's going to be a touchdown for New Canaan. I think that was Owen Lyden on the touchdown for the Rams. So, you know, they're mix it up, right? Last time they were down on the 5-yard line, John, they ran the little play action over the top to Luke Reed. But there, Owen Lyden, you know, the senior, just takes the handoff, scores, touchdown, about to go up 42-zip.
I think that is one of the great things about that play is the versatility on that. Either the quarterback can keep it after they fake the handoff, or they can hand it off to find their running back, their guy in the backfield, such as someone like Owen Lyden, who is a bigger body, has a bigger build and more size to himself as he rushes, as we look at the replay, and he's rushing it in here. Or you can run that play action and hit someone in the back of the end zone. So a lot of options there. It must be tough to cover as the defense, not knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I like right there Alex Benevento is kind of being a lead blocker, right? He kind of almost started that path for Owen Lyden to score as Tucker Stevens lines up for the PAT. He drills it, so it is 42-0 New Canaan. It's dominant performance by the Rams.
Yeah, all-around dominant performance. It cannot be stated enough how dominant this offense has been, and so has this defense. This defense leading to offense, obviously allowing this offense to get good field position on almost every drive that they've had so far, whether they get the ball at the 50 or past midfield, even at the 45 sometimes, their opponent's 45. So really seeing the success of this Rams team. And also, we got to talk about it, the contributions from so many different people on this Rams team. It's not just Benevento every single time. Owen Lyden had the touchdown. Luke Reed had 2, able to get plays from almost everyone on this roster.
Yeah, so I think actually Bennett Perticello, the sophomore, is going to be, kicking this one deep. Yeah, so it will be Bennett Perticello, obviously a sophomore. He is a top kicker, though. We've been seeing, remember we talked to Coach Marinelli a couple weeks back, and he says that in a year or two, he will be one of the lead kickoffs. That one wasn't as good, though. That one's about at the 35, but that was claimed, was touched by Brien McMahon players, a little bit of a scrum at about the 35. So we'll see who ended up falling on that one. So there's a scrum, see some pointed by New Canaan. No signal yet by the referees, so Brien McMahon were able to fall on that one. But, Perticello's short kick almost kind of worked out for New Canaan there.
Hey, you talk about another miscue, a little fumble on that kick, receiving the kick. You saw the fumble on the first play of the game where there was a little bit mishandle of the snap. And so obviously Brien McMahon looks a little bit shaken so far in the second half, throughout this entire game, to be honest.
Yeah, so Brien McMahon, right, you just got to be able to just try and get something going. And actually, Eamon Boyle's not in the game anymore. I think that's Lorenzo Lacara in that quarterback. That one's just going to be handed off. Again, a great swarm by New Canaan. It was Joshua Florio there. But yeah, so I think Lorenzo Lareca is now in at quarterback for Brien McMahon. I think they've pulled the plug on Eamon Boyle, down by 42 points. So just about 1 minute to go in this third quarter. Dominant performance by New Canaan, John.
Yeah, you are right. Dominant in every facet. Obviously able to stop the legs of Jaheim Daniel, as well as stop Amon Boyle from really getting anything working so far.
Kara's going to fire that one deep, and that one is completed and down to about the 40-yard line. That was, I think that was Jaden Triana on the catch. So that was a good throw there by Brien McMahon, just getting a little bit of offense going with the backup starting to get into the game now.
Yeah, able to complete a pass over the middle, and that's what they've been looking for the entire game. Just get something working on the offensive zone. need to erase that 0 from the scoreboard.
Yeah, Lareka with a good throw there. So we're just about 15 seconds. It's going to be another handoff for Brien McMahon. It's Florio again. We're under 10 seconds. So we'll just run that one out to the end of the third quarter. You know, we expected nothing less from this third quarter after being up. And actually, you know, we see Jake Valente warming up on the sideline down there. So he might get some action in at quarterback when they get the ball back. NCTV.
Yeah, and as that takes us down to the end of the third quarter, we'd like to take a moment to ask you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Keep watching our sports. We obviously try to stream as many games as we can, as we are a student-led group. Follow us on NCTV at NCTV78 on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. You can find us everywhere. We try to stream as many games as possible. Obviously, we've gotten every single home football game streamed so far, as well as numerous volleyball, field hockey, soccer games. Obviously, I've been on the call with PJ and Ryan Bell. We've got this nice group of announcers that are really orchestrating chemistry, and keep following us as we try to cover as many sports games as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Great group of announcers. You mentioned it, both sideline reporters like PJ, and when you got guys in the booth, obviously great Tomasco, Dylan Stevens, you know, me and you, John, and PJ. As Brien McMahon, Brien McMahon, ball at the New Canaan 38-yard line. It's going to be Lareka, fires that one. That was a good throw there, threading the needle between 3 New Canaan defenders. That was caught by Jaden Triana.
We'd also like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, all of our gold and platinum sponsors who sponsor the New Canaan Sports All Rams Booster Club.
Yeah, that was a great throw by Lorenzo LaRocca right there, kind of threading the needle. I've liked what I've seen so far from, you know, LaRocca, right? The junior quarterback comes in down 42, but he's had some good throws so far. They're going to trust him again. LaRocca rolling to his right. Good pressure by New Canaan. Flag has been thrown. I think I saw maybe a little bit of a hold there by Brien McMahon.
It looks like that's going to be a hold by number 26. That will be Joshua Floyd. Unfortunately, it's going to be a penalty.
Yes, that will be holding on Brien McMahon right there. So that's going to push them back about 10 yards. You know, John, if you're New Canaan and you're the defense, you know, I think right here, you don't want to really get these drives to be as long, right? If you can just get a stop, you know, let the offense do their thing. And I think once New Canaan gets the ball on offense, I would just expect a lot of running from them.
Yeah, you are right. Definitely a lot of running. Obviously, if you're Brien McMahon, you never want to see that. They're starting to string together a couple of passes and running plays, opportunities, until they were obviously brought back by that holding penalty, and penalties can disrupt an offense.
Yeah, so that's going to be a 1st and 20 for Brien McMahon. That one's going to be handed off there again. That one was to Joshua Florio. New Canaan getting all their hats to the ball. But as we notice right here, camera's not going to be picking this one up, but it's going to be the sophomore quarterback, Jake Valente, warming up on the sidelines. So we'll see how he'll be able to do. But I'd expect, as I just mentioned, probably a lot of running. Maybe you see guys like Henry Stein, Andrew Liebau get into the game at you know, the sophomores. But again, that's just a great talent pool that New Canaan has, John.
You talk about it. Definitely up 42-0. Just a little bit over 9.5 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. New Canaan dominating so far, as Brien McMahon not able to complete that pass to the receiver.
So we're 9 minutes and 25 seconds left. The ref just dropped the ball there. Come on, ref. It's all right. You know, 42-point game. We're not going to get too much there. So it's going to be a 3rd and 16 for Brien McMahon. You know, I watched the movie Diary of a Wimpy Kid a couple weeks ago, and I think one of my favorite quotes there is who put General Grant on the thermostat, right? That's something that, I'm going to relate this to football, don't worry, right? When you're up by 42, you can take your foot off the gas, right? So things are going to slip through the cracks. But, you know, so far, New Canaan's just been holding their own right now.
Yeah, 3rd and 16, not what you want to see if you're a Brien McMahon.
Dropping that one. There's a good gain. Brien McMahon looks like they're just around that 1st down marker. Another great throw by Lorenzo Lareka. Just trying to find the open man. This is going to be a 1st down to move the chains for Brien McMahon.
Yeah, Lareka able to complete that to Darling, who we talked about in the beginning. Obviously haven't seen him do so much, but he has 13 receptions, 165 yards, and 2 touchdowns entering this game. Picks up another reception there for about 15 yards, I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like a 15, 16, maybe even 17-yard game. But Brien McMahon finally in the red zone being able to push. Zareka, and another quick pressure. Just had to get that one off quickly, and a big hit. Helmet goes flying, and the ref's got to flag that one. Looks like everyone's all right, but what a big hit by this Rams defense. Wow, John. Actually, the replay is going to roll this one right now. I think that was number 16 for Brien McMahon. Aiden Messinet just got crushed.
Yeah, as we look at the replay here, pressure by the New Canaan Rams defense.
Yeah, Messinet gets that, and what a hit by the sophomore Michael Harris, who's obviously playing tonight. You know, a spot that he might not normally get as much playing time. They're going to be calling head-to-head on that. So it's going to move Brien McMahon down to about the, I think inside the 10-yard line at least. So yeah, helmet to helmet. You know, I think if you're Michael Harris, you're just trying to get a hit. You're just trying to get the ball there. So, you know, nothing too malicious there.
Yeah, you can't lead with the helmet, though, the crown of the helmet. You never can do that. That's been obviously taken out of pro football now.
Yeah. I mean, look at college with all the debates over targeting, right, when there's head-to-head. I know that's been, you know, a big dilemma right there. Zareka hands that one back off. See, and it's going to be a touchdown for Brien McMahon, their first of the night. So they're going to get on the board. Aiden Messinet just scoring. You know, that's just something, you know, Brien McMahon, just get a touchdown, right? You feel a little bit better about yourselves, John.
Yeah, taking away that shutout from the Rams defense. Maybe a little bit of a bright spot, as you can see what worked there. Obviously, you're not going against the entire Rams starting defense.
Yeah, Brien McMahon, they're just going to go for 2 here. Extra points not going to do you any good. Just try and get a little better on this 2-point conversion. So Lareka is going to line up in the gun. 42-6 is the score. He's going to look to his left, fires that one incomplete. So only just the 6 points there for Brien McMahon. I know defensive coordinator Chris Silvestri, he's going to be a little upset when he goes to bed tonight saying we were oh so close to having that shutout, but, you know, we let up a touchdown. But you're still up 42-6. You got nothing to worry about.
And no, definitely going to be a little bit frustrated that you gave up the touchdown, but they've played so well so far. And they've been dominating.
As we see some of the sophomores getting in there. Number 47, Andrew Liebau, being one of those guys in the huddle. So we'll see, I think now, with just 5 minutes to go in this fourth quarter, this is just where these kind of inexperienced guys are going to get their moment. But that's what we love about high school football, right? You always get to see guys whenever it's a blowout. You know, it's bad when it's a blowout, but I think the bright side is, you know, this next guy up, he gets to get in and get these experience, because when he's going to be a junior or senior, he's going to remember these times when he got in as a sophomore.
Yeah, you are right. Always getting that talent from the bottom up. Talk about it. Once you're top classes, once you're upperclassmen leave, you want to have that foundation in the upperclassmen, underclassmen coming up to kind of support that football team, not just it being full of seniors and juniors.
Yeah, so we'll see here with just about 4 minutes and 50 seconds left to go. McMahon just going to boot this one deep. We do see Andrew Liebau there at that 50-yard line. See if we'll get the ball. No, you're not going to get the ball there. It's all right, though. I was going to be caught and just downed. Stumbling on his own feet there. Looks like that was Benny Heagle right there. Yeah, one of our own NCTV, you know, in our TV class, Benny Heagle right there. Stumbling over his feet. We'll be laughing about that one over in the huddle.
Yeah, not what you want to see. Unfortunately, in high school football, once that knee goes down, you are down. It doesn't matter whether you get touched. Also the case in college football. So unfortunate there that his knee touched the ground.
You see Ryan Brooks running into that huddle right now. I mean, we'll see fully when they all get out into the field, but it's going to look like Jake Valente is going to be quarterback right now. Obviously, the sophomore who's been dealing with a knee injury. It is going to be Valente. So obviously, he hurt his knee back over in the summer, right? He had some problems with it, you know, having to rehab it, but right now he's back. He's in the game. His first varsity action as a New Canaan football player. The crowd cheers for Valente. His first snap in the gun, that's just going to be pitched over on a little jet sweep. It does count as a pass for Jake Valente. So, as Pretty big hit there. That one went over to Chris Cuesta. So there's a good little gain for New Canaan.
Yeah, you see Valente giving it to Cuesta. Cuesta able to find some room on the outside. It's going to be a 13-yard gain and another first down for this Rams well-oiled offense.
Yeah, so that's going to count as a pass for Valente. So his first ever pass as a high school football player, got a first down. It's pretty good. So that one's just going to be handed off to Hudson Kenny. He's just going to get stuffed at the line of scrimmage there. And with 3 minutes to go, Coach Lou Marinelli just putting these guys that normally don't get as much playing time in. Now, you got to respect it, right? The starters, they earned their rest. Unfortunately, we saw those injuries to Ben Sibbett. Hopefully, he'll be all right. We don't have too much on that. Luke Robinson, who barely played, hopefully he'll be doing all right. But I think the big one is Dylan Pryor, who unfortunately took that injury to his knee, maybe ankle again. So that one's just going to hurt a lot for New Canaan.
Yeah, you talked about it. That's going to be a rough injury to Dylan Pryor as you're approaching the playoffs. And really, when you need that star running back, well, obviously you have Cooper Smith, but you also want to have that second option. And Pryor obviously doing a lot to help the Rams offense today.
Yeah, not even just playoffs, just Turkey Bowl, right? Biggest game of the season, obviously one of the biggest rivalries. And if you're not going to have one of your best players, then it's got to be the next man up. Maybe guys like Alex Benevento or even Thomas Garcia are going to have to start to get those handoffs. So we are just under 2 minutes to go here. Cruise control for New Canaan. A lot of those sophomore guys in at wide receiver, that play clock winding down. Maybe a little misconfusion there from Valente. First drive, might be a little confused some of the play calls. So this is going to be a drop back pass for Valente. Throwing that over, that was caught by Ryan Brooks. So there's the sophomore Mr. Tisha Health connection right there. Jake Valente over to Ryan Brooks.
Yeah, now what you want to see if you're Jake Valente on that second pass. Well, just about a 1 yard gain, unfortunately.
Yeah, so we're just about 1 minute and 10 seconds till the end of this first half here. Valente 2 for 2. Sure, he's not complaining about that. So, he's starting out the game strong. Finishing out the game strong, probably should I say, but starting out the game strong for him. 55 seconds to go. Valente drops the snap. Able to fall on that one. Lou Marinelli. Maybe just one more run, just take a knee, whatever. See you guys like Benevento. These guys just coming in. You're just going to run play. Just let this go out. 42-6 there. Valente drops the snap. That's not going to go against his resume there, right? 2 for 2. He'll take it. That's just going to be Neal. Put all the starters back in. Alex Russi will take the knee down. So Russi officially takes the knee. That will end up being our ball game, John. 42-6 win for New Canaan on senior night over Brien McMahon. And 42-6, dominant performance from New Canaan.
Yeah, dominant win from the Rams. Obviously now improving to 8-1. We talked about it, clinching their playoff berth probably. And what a impressive performance for the Rams. If you're Marinelli, you've got to be pleased by what you saw. Obviously a strong defense, and that defense turning to offense. Overall, just solid showing for this Rams team.
Yeah, so New Canaan's next game, it's going to be at home on Thanksgiving morning for the Turkey Bowl. It's great that they were able to win this game, win it handily, so now you can focus all your preparation onto Darien. I think that's just going to be key, right? New Canaan, you want to win that game, obviously clinching the playoff berth tonight, which is great, but obviously if you want to get that home field advantage in the playoffs, you got to be your arch nemesis on Thanksgiving. It's just going to be a great game that we're going to be covering.
Exactly, and obviously they were able to secure the big victory tonight with strong strong rushing attack combined with a strong passing attack in the air. Obviously, you don't like to see injuries to Ben Sibbett and Pryor.
Yeah, I think New Canaan's defense just did a great job containing guys like Eamon Boyle, the quarterback, but Jaheim Daniels, right? He only had one big run, maybe two if you want to count one of those 10-yard run. But, Jaheim Daniels was really just contained by this New Canaan defense, and I think it was just constant pressure by New Canaan on that front seven were able to do that.
Yeah, and you talk about it, that front seven of New Canaan, on both the offensive and defensive side, really just doing whatever they wanted, able to get pressure, open up holes for the running backs to run right through, really playing solid, really out hustling and just using their physicality, their advantage to their advantage, and just really doing everything they can.
Yeah, and I think just one last thing to wrap up before we're going to get a little highlight package play, but I think it's just going to be interesting to see Luke Robinson. How is he going to be for the Turkey Bowl, right? So that's just going to be something interesting as we're actually going to go over to the monitor right now to take a look at some of the highlights from this game. As we see right here, so this is all the scoring plays. This was the first one to Dylan Pryor, who just found the open hole. This was the second snap on offense for New Canaan. That one was gone for a 52-yard touchdown, just starting the scoring for the Rams, and they wouldn't stop. So you can see this goal line package there. This was Luke Robinson finding Luke Reed. The Luke-to-Luke connection, as we noted on, was great. We take another angle. This is a beautiful shot here. As you can just see, Robinson, great pass over the top to Luke Reed. That made it 14-0 in the first quarter. So we're going to take more looks. Again, New Canaan was constant pressure, and this was the trick play. Good camera work by our friend Andrew Mank there. And it was just a great ball by Alex Russi to find Luke Reed, the little flea flicker, some of those trick plays that we've seen NFL teams running. Right, you're already up 21. Alex Russi hands the ball off to Cooper Smith, and Cooper Smith, you know, he's just taking that off every time. With the great blocking that New Canaan did tonight, John, it was easy for him all night.
Yeah, and that was the first of his two, as we might see the second. Here's the second one where he broke through the hole and able to just beat both defenders, converging in on him, and that's the touchdown.
Yeah, as then we just see, I think that might have been the replay of the first one, but there was Cooper Smith again. Just a great run. I mean, I think it's just the running play from everyone. Of course, obviously, Dylan Pryor, you hope he's okay. So we'll get more words on him soon. There was Brien McMahon's touchdown at the end just to, you know, break the New Canaan shutout there. But it was just a defensive performance from New Canaan. But then right when they got the ball back on offense, they were scoring almost every time, John.
Yeah, you were right. Their defense really turned into offense, able to score just about whenever they wanted to.
Yeah, so we'd like to thank our sponsors one more time. So this game is sponsored by our NC Rams All Sports Booster Club Platinum and Gold sponsors. We'd like to thank our Platinum sponsor, Anderson Kenny Architecture, a full-service practice that encompasses a range of commissioned, residential, and commercial projects. Each project is a thoughtful collaboration tailored for clients and their needs. The outcome is highly personal, constructed with intention and integrity. We'd like to thank our Platinum sponsor, Dr. William Fessler of Fessler Family Dentistry, the dental office for your entire family's dental needs. At William Fessler's Family Dentistry, smile, you're in good hands. Platinum sponsor, Frangione Engineering. Planning on putting in a pool or an addition onto your house, or are you having drainage issues on your property? Frangione Engineering can help you find a solution. Platinum sponsors and NCHS alumni Leo and Steve Carl of Carl Chevrolet, who have been proud supporters of local athletic programs for generations. Their dealership has been serving Fairfield County since 1927. Their team is ready to assist with all of your automotive needs.
Platinum sponsor Manfredi Jewels. Manfredi Jewels, your local official Rolex jeweler, is excited to continue carrying the local finest jewelry and watch brands. And welcome to the New Canaan community in their newly renovated store this fall. Go Rams. Platinum sponsor Renaissance Partners, a family-owned and New Canaan-based residential building and remodeling company, serving all of Fairfield County. Platinum sponsor Walter Stewart's. Walter Stewart's Market has supported New Canaan Rams athletics in the entire New Canaan community for years. Walter Stewart's is your fresh local market. We'd also like to thank you to our gold sponsor, Performance Optimal Health, who proudly supports all New Canaan Rams athletes in their 2023-2024 seasons. This team helps their clients achieve their health goals through exercise, recovery, nutrition, and stress management. They offer their congratulations to all teams competing this season. Again, a big thank you to all of our sponsors. The New Canaan Rams All Sports Booster Club supports all New Canaan High School athletics. Go Rams.
Yeah, John, as a reminder, you just always make sure to follow, NCTV on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. You know, you're talking about it earlier, right? We're trying to post as many games as we can, and, we're going to do it as often as possible. So just a reminder that also we'll be covering the Turkey Bowl on Thanksgiving morning at 10 a.m. Big game, Darien, New Canaan. You know, it's just going to be the biggest one of the entire year. Well, that's going to be us from us tonight. John Frieders and Ryan Bell, 42-6, our final on senior night. We hope everyone has a good night, everyone.